very much for choosing to stop in and check out this video today. And if you had checked out the two that preceded this video, you would have seen me with a big cardboard box here on my right hand side, which came from Melbourne. And Alex, a good buddy of mine, he sent me up all of the Schumacher Cougar2 related parts that he had in his collection. And many of them were used and a little abused. Some were new in packet, and basically the idea was that I wanted to try and put together a Cougar2 team car for my friend Sean, who is looking for a Schumacher two-wheel drive to take to the track and just experience some new memories with the Cougar2 team car. So I got in contact with my friend Alex, and I also put the call out to a few other people for bits and pieces that would help me assemble a Cougar2 team car for Sean. But as it turned out, Alex sent me enough parts that I could also resurrect his old Cougar2 team car as well. So two used Cougar2 team cars, and no, neither of them are like new, they're just going to be used. So it's not one of those videos to show off something that will be on display in the glass cabinet, but no, these things will go out on the racetrack more than likely for the Bash 3.0 down in Melbourne this coming November. So how did I get to this point? Well, if you saw my earlier videos, I cleaned up a bunch of parts that came from Alex, and I also had some parts here to go into this build. And what happened was I put the call out also for some shock absorbers. So Richard from RLRC, and he came and to the party, and he helped me out with some, he sent me free of charge, he didn't even ask for shipping, some silver shock bodies which went into this build here. And as it so happened, the rear shock bodies were the red anodized type, and I ended up cleaning them up and polishing them, and they went onto the back of this truck right here. And as it turned out, in Alex's spare parts, he had a pair of really nice used condition silver rear shock bodies. So I was able to put together a Cougar2 team car for Sean with a really nice set of the original silver anodized bodies. So that's this car here. And also Richard Bull, who's a local friend of mine here on the Central Coast, and he's also a fellow Schumacher Cougar2 fan. He contributed this really nice used condition red chassis because I didn't end up having a chassis that I wanted to put into this build. So two Richards have come to the party and helped out on this build for Sean, and also I ended up building up Alex's old Cougar2 team car. Now this car has quite some significant history to him, and that being that, in fact, before I even had ever come across Alex, some nearly 20 years ago now, he was running around an old Cougar2 team car, and I saw some photos on Tamiya Club, and I got in contact with him, and we've been friends ever since. So yeah, he actually had a Cougar2 team car that he used to have some fun with back then as well, and I'm pretty sure it even made an early Knox event back in around 2006 or 2007, something like that. So yeah, the idea was to try and build up a couple of these cars, but also I did a little bit of work on his okay, so this wasn't a Storm, it was a shotgun truck, so a Schumacher shotgun, and he had the whole front end jacked up so high because he had these the medium length shocks on the front. But what I did was I ended up putting the right length shocks front and rear on this truck, and also rebuilt the rear transmission. I went with the black alloy side plates on the transmission housing, and I put a tri-lobe diff center in it as well. So it had an older, possibly maybe a Top Cat rear diff in it, but what I did was I swapped it out, and I ended up putting a bit of a stronger diff in the rear of this truck here. Fortunately, in amongst all those parts, Alex had a used Pro Alloy Diff Center. So inside this transmission here, I managed to put the 5-bearing alloy diff transmission center into it, and I also had one in my collection as well, which went into the rear transmission of Sean's car. So these cars have been built very, very similarly. I went through all of Alex's parts, and I basically put on the least used parts into these builds so that they could go out to the track and have the least amount of trouble. So brand new ball cups, you know, stainless steel hardware throughout, and I just went over with a fine-tooth comb basically and built these cars, just hoping that they'll be reliable so they can go out and have some fun with these on the track. And 2 more Cougar2 Team cars out there mixing it up in the dirt here in Australia at vintage events. So yeah, this is a good day. And so yeah, when building these cars, there were just some little tips and tricks that I'd like to share with the audience. For example, the rear transmission on all of these 3 cars, I put a little gasket underneath the perimeter of where the transmission bolts down onto the chassis, because I tend to find they let bits of dirt and stuff in under there after a while, and I like to make sure that these transmissions are as sealed as they can be. Mind you, that gear cover there is very temporary. No, it's not going to stay there, I don't think, Alex, but I've invested enough time, money and energy into these builds, and I said to the guys, look, you're going to have to do the last bit yourself, which will be each of them getting a hold of the plastic gear cover, which they can do from a store down in at Metro in Melbourne. They sell some of those bits and pieces and they have them in stock, so they can sort that out for a few bucks. As for Lexan and wheels, I know Alex already has some Lexan bodies down there, that old beaters that he's had for years. He's also got wheels and tyres and all that sort of stuff. So this one's going to go back down to Melbourne to Alex along with his truck without these crazy wheels and tyres. Now I just put them on there to set the camber and muck around with it a little bit and see how it sits up on some wheels. Same with Sean. He's gonna pick up the gear cover also, and I know he's going to order some JC Racing 2.2-inch disc style rims. Now I was going to donate some 5-spoke JC Racing rims, but he's not really a fan of the spoke wheel, so he's going to go with that. And I might even get an order in with Penguin for some Lexan bodies, and I think Sean will jump in and he'll chip in and pay for some Lexan for this car. But essentially they're ready to go to their new homes, and I hope they really enjoy them. So that was mainly the objective of this video series, was just to share with the viewing audience what has been going on. And also I've done Alex a real solid, because although some of these parts are used and whatever, that's fine, I've gone along and I've sorted out all of his spare parts. So for example, in this box, you know, he's got all of his spring tensioner pieces and O-rings and bits and bobs, but every single part was very, very carefully cleaned with a lot of elbow grease and a little nail brush and 8 litres of simple green. So I've collated all the parts, and here they all are, all sorted, clean sorted and bagged separately, so that if he needs a suspension arm or a steering belt crank or transmission parts, you know, he can get access to these bits rather easily. And they'll all go back down to Alex, and he can continue building cars. He can sell off bits, he can trade bits, or he can help people out who need bits, whatever the case may be. That was the motivation behind sorting these bits and pieces, was to help Sean get his car, also to build Alex up his car also. And yeah, just I spent a bit of time on the transmissions, cleaned all the bearings, got everything working really nicely, and making sure nothing's missing. Yeah, so that's the video for the Schumacher Cougar 2 team cars, I've got a couple myself, which I showed in a previous video, and I absolutely love it to death. Very reliable car, super quick out there on the racetrack, super quiet with their belt drive transmission, and I've loved them since I very first had one, and I still like them today. So happy that other people can get a hold of these things and get out there, and they're not sitting away packed in boxes or broken or forgotten. So anyhow, that's it for this little video series. Just wanted to share some of the good vibes with the community out there, and show that, you know, it is cool to sort of pitch in and help your friends out here and there, and I hope that continues as a trend with other people out there, because this vintage thing keeps growing and growing, and the Vintage Bash 3.0 in November is going to really blow some minds, because there's so many people getting behind these things now, and there's so much interest, and a lot of good friendships that come out of it, and so much fun. And if you have gone through any of my previous videos, you will see from the Bash 1.0, the Bash 2.0, we're having a blast out there, and 3.0 is going to be, I'm sure, even better again. So anyway, let's get this video wrapped up. Thank you very much for choosing to stop in and check out my video, and I have some more surprises coming up very soon. More videos coming. I've got some more content that needs to be made, and it needs to go out to the masses very soon. So thanks guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.